way I've said several times, but we can go ahead and get into this first segment where I continue talking about the best players in the NBA. So I believe we stopped at number 10 with Anthony Davis. And now we're going to continue on with this list, starting at number 11 with SGA. Now, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I think he was arguably aside from Luka and Steph, SGA is the best point guard in the NBA. The one flaw that he has to his game is three-point shooting, or like not even three-point shooting, just the lack of three-point shooting. And maybe like just a little bit, again, maybe just a little bit of some parts of defense, just, targeting his height in particular, because Shai's defense, like, he was able to average a lot of steals while also being able to average a lot of points. Like, he drops 31 points every single night. Like, I had to put him up here. And he was easily the biggest reason for the Thunder's success. He was the biggest reason for the Thunder winning in the postseason. He was the biggest reason for the Thunder not losing in less than 6 games against the Dallas Mavericks. Every single bit of success that the Thunder have had is because of SGA. And I got to put him on this list. I have to. He's really young, but he's really just that good. And kind of makes you think, like, maybe the Clippers really messed up in the trade with Paul George, but that's another topic for another time. Next player is Jason Tatum. Now, a lot of people, a lot of Celtics fans in particular, are probably going to wonder, why is Tatum not in the top 10? And yes, he did win a championship, and there are other players above him on this list that haven't won a championship. But aside from that championship, you could argue that Jason Tatum has not gotten any sort of individual awards in the NBA. Like, the 2 chances that he's been able to get an individual award, like the Eastern Conference Finals MVP and the Finals MVP, he was unable to win both of those. Like, the only real thing that he has in his resume is All-NBA selections, All-Star team selections, and a hefty amount of playoff games and playoff wins that are easily, caused because of how good the Celtics have been through Tatum's career since he was brought up in the league. Ever since Tatum was brought up in the league, the Celtics have been a playoff team. They have not had a bad roster in a very long time. And because of that, because they haven't had a bad roster, of course they're going to get several playoff series wins, and of course they're going to go farther and achieve all of these, things in the regular season. But it's Tatum, who is supposed to be the best player on his team, wasn't even able to win any of the individual awards that would tell people he was the best player on the team. That was all Jaylen Brown. And so for that, he's going to get, if he won the Finals MVP, he would have been in the top 10. That championship and the Finals MVP on top of that championship would have put him in the top 10. But because he didn't do it, I can't put him in there. I'm sorry. I just think that the rest of those other players are by far much better than him. Especially because if you were to put any of the players before that I just mentioned on that Boston Celtics team, they would have won. That Celtics team was just way too good. But anyways, moving on from the list. And I don't have every single player listed, on here. I'm just doing the big, the big names and the big 5, the first 5 on this list, because this list is going to drag on a little bit. Next player is Damian Lillard. Now, Dame sort of had a bit of a slow season last year. The season wasn't, how should I say, all that impressive, I guess. The season was you could argue that it was riddled with disappointment towards the end of the postseason, as well as towards the middle when they hired Doc Rivers. Really, when they hired Doc Rivers and made that coaching change, I thought that was that's basically the end for the Milwaukee Bucks and their season. On top of that, Giannis getting injured and Damian Lillard getting injured in the postseason did not help matters either. But the reason why I'm putting Dame at number 13 here is because this season that he had with the Bucks, it was his first season. Now, I know he's supposed to be way better than what he was playing like on the Bucks, but part of the reason why he was playing like this mediocre and not as explosive as he normally was because he was out of shape. Excuse me. But throughout the offseason, when there were talks of Damian Lillard getting traded either to Miami or getting traded somewhere else, or Portland finally letting go of him, the Damian Lillard, he did not want to get himself injured. So to prevent getting himself injured, he tried to refrain himself from working out excessively and getting himself into NBA shape. And because of that, somewhat took a toll on his game. So I think that if he gets back into shape, we are going to see both Giannis and Damian Lillard drop tremendous numbers both at the same time, not like where they used to like only one player could go off. I think they're going to figure it out after this season. Next player on this list is Donovan Mitchell, arguably, in my opinion, one of the best playoff performers that the NBA has, period. Every single year in the postseason, Donovan Mitchell just elevates his game dramatically. And obviously, you know, he doesn't have many postseason awards or any notable feats in the postseason to back that up, but a large part of that is because of his team. Now, he was injured in the postseason, which is arguably part of the reason why the Cavs ended up losing in 5 games. And it was, you know, it was a little difficult for the Cavs this season. They did have a nice little streak of winning, I believe maybe 14 games or more at one point, and then they sort of just regressed and slowed down just a little bit. And there were some rumors and like off-court drama going on about Donovan and Darius Garland, about how Darius might want to get traded, about how Cleveland might blow up the whole roster and everything like that, and how Donovan Mitchell's injuries and Darius's injuries were hurting the team, which is definitely apparent. But injuries aside, Donovan Mitchell is a baller. Like, he can play the point guard, he can play the shooting guard. It doesn't matter whether or not he's undersized. He has the dribbling, he has the shot selection, he has anything that you could possibly ask for really in a shooting guard, in my opinion. Like, the only problem with him is his height and defense. That's really the big thing. He's a little bit of a liability on defense because of how undersized he is, but doesn't matter. He is definitely a baller. Now, if you're wondering why I'm putting this guy over somebody like, I don't know, maybe Brunson, it's mainly because Brunson he only did it for one, he only really did it for one season, right? And while, yes, it was ridiculously impressive, I would rather put other players who have done a little bit more in their careers as opposed to putting Jalen Brunson on there, just like that, right? Like, a lot of these players on here have already proven themselves with multiple years, and the Knicks, they literally just started to get good. So that's the big reason why. And on top of that, Donovan Mitchell was good from the jump. Unlike Jalen Brunson, who developed, Donovan Mitchell was good from the start, the minute he got drafted into the NBA. And it's part of the reason. Again, if you guys don't agree with this list, that's tough because, it's my list, so deal with it. But aside from that, next player and the final player before I go into the next segment and continuing with the list is Kawhi Leonard. Now, Kawhi is, he's very odd to rate, when he plays, he's ridiculous. When he's in the postseason, he is ridiculous. It's just, he's not in the postseason. So, I have the most difficult time in picking a spot on where to put him. So I'm just going to put him almost smack dab in the middle and just go with number 15. Almost smack dab in the middle, because Kawhi, like, again, he played a lot last season, yes, but throughout most of his career, he's like been known as a bit of a load manager. And on top of that, this recent tenure with the Clippers that he's had has been an absolute failure, mainly because either he's unavailable for the team or because he just doesn't perform for the team. Like, the farthest the Clippers have gone in the playoffs was when Kawhi Leonard was out with an injury. It's not a good look for somebody like Kawhi Leonard. And in my personal opinion, I don't think Kawhi Leonard gets nearly enough shade, like, to be thrown at him for the atrocity that was in LA with the Clippers. Like, I don't think how should I say this? If LeBron were to, force the organization's hand into getting Anthony Davis, and which he did, and did not deliver with a title, LeBron would have gotten backlash, and he still would have been getting backlash to this day. But here's Kawhi Leonard, who does it, and nobody talks about him. It's like he'll get the lion's share of the credit whenever things go right, but gets none of the criticism whenever things go wrong, and gets to be let off with excuses of him being injured, right? Maybe it's because, being injured is just, an unfair way to criticize somebody, which I do understand. Might also be because Kawhi Leonard is quiet, so everybody decides to leave him alone. But again, it's like, really? Like, no criticism for creating a roster that produced 0 championships, like creating a dynamic duo that produced 0 championships. That's crazy. But anyways, we're going to continue on with this list right after this short break. So we're going to go ahead into the next segment, again, continuing with this list. So stay tuned. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh, I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the